who would have thought a few years ago that the Detroit Three, General Motors, Chrysler, and Ford, would vie to be the low-cost producer of automobiles? But that's exactly what they're doing. So it's a good situation in that the companies are competitive. And some of that was due to the bankruptcy and what they were able to accomplish there. We will see this year as the UAW comes back to the table and the Detroit Three and the UAW forge a new working relationship, the give and take and how much of that continues to work. But it's not as bad as it seems.
And the perception of Michigan is that 20% of organized labor controls the policy making and the politics of this state. And for a long time, until just recently, that was true. If you look at state law, it's skewed toward labor. And that labor has an undue influence in this state based on, in comparison to the number of members. It's particularly detrimental in the public sector. Now, both of you guys are sitting here trying to cut costs. It'd be a lot easier to cut your costs if you could act as most private employers can, if you could be more nimble in terms of your decision making and not have to bump up against the union at every turn. Bob, you know this. Mayor, you're about to raise taxes or ask your people for a tax increase because that's easier than going through the process of negotiating more concessions with your labor unions. The states that are growing don't have these issues, and that's what we're up against. So, I mean, we can continue to defer labor and make our decisions in the interest of our public employees, or we can start making the changes necessary to make Michigan competitive. Right now, we're not competitive with those right-to-work states.
Mr. Mayor, could I offer a few comments?
Okay.
Actually, Nolan is sort of one of my heroes in terms of never missing his editorials and certainly a man of high intellect in terms of the research he does, and I'm amazed at what he puts in the way of thought for us. It's very, very, no, however. You do have to be nimble. He saw me obviously building up to this, and I have this uneasy feeling that I may be on the cusp as the next editorial that.
I think there's an opportunity right now for companies and workers who are working smart to get some of that work back and make the case. But we're only going to make the case if we can make the case that Michigan and Metro Detroit are a more productive, cost-efficient place to do things. It's the only long-term answer.
The CEO of the city, correct? Not correct. Because I was taken to the labor court and found guilty of talking to my own employees. So everything is not a set standard that if you look for alternative revenue as a last resort when you've tried everything else, is that wrong? If it's the only thing that you can do to maintain quality of life, then it may be necessary.
That's my point, Mayor. Do you think the mayor of Charlotte has to go through these imaginations to get anti-budget savings? I mean, it's beyond perception that unions control policy making and politics of the state. It's still